Hey there, fellow cryptid enthusiasts and slasher movie survivors. Welcome back to Cryptid Whisperer, where we don't just study things that go bump in the night. We figure out how to keep them from bumping into us. Today, we're diving into one of the oldest, creepiest urban legends ever whispered around a campfire. The Hookman. You know, that guy with a hook for a hand, a chip on his shoulder, and apparently no concept of personal space. Yeah, him. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I survive a one-handed psycho with a grudge? Well, you're in luck, because we've cooked up 10 hilarious, but totally useful tips to keep you safe from the Hookman's, hooking ways. Whether you're into parking in sketchy spots, why? Or just enjoy learning how to outsmart a guy whose murder weapon is literally attached to him, we've got you covered. From outhooking the Hookman to bringing the world's most ridiculous "no hooks allowed" sign, this video has all the tips you need to keep your night murder free and your face unhooked. And remember, if you like what you see, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. After all, you're going to want to stay informed on how not to become the next cryptid's chew toy. So grab your spare door handle, your sense of humor, and let's dive into this survival guide before the Hookman gets any ideas. Let's be real. You're not ready to star in your own horror movie just yet, are you? Tip 1. Don't park in creepy, secluded spots. Look, if you're still parking your car in the middle of the woods like you're auditioning for the next low-budget horror film, then congratulations. You've just signed yourself up for the Get Hooked by a Maniac VIP experience. Honestly, you might as well wave a neon sign that says, "Hey, Hookman, I'm right here. Come kill me." Think about it. Every time someone parks in these secluded lover's lane spots, things go from romantic to, where did that scratching noise come from? Faster than you can say Netflix and chill. It's 2024. Can't we just stick to normal places for makeout sessions like, I don't know, not in the middle of Murder Forest? There's a reason Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and every other slasher icon prefer to work in these areas. It's like their office cubicle, and you're the dumbass who just wandered in with a target on your back. And before you say, "But it's private and quiet," let me stop you right there. Private? Yes. Quiet? Sure. Also, the perfect setting for a hook-wielding psycho to sneak up and turn your romantic evening into a goddamn bloodbath. That scratching on your car door isn't the wind or an animal. It's Hookman trying to decide whether to murder you now, or wait until after you finish your awkward conversation about commitment. Seriously, next time you feel like pulling over somewhere dark and spooky, just remember this. Hookman is out there, probably scrolling through Tinder, looking for idiots to slice up. So unless you want to be his next Tinderella, maybe opt for a more public place to hang out. McDonald's parking lots are well lit, have Wi-Fi, and the only thing you have to worry about there is Ronald McDonald trying to sell you more fries. Much safer. In short, skip the creepy woods. If you're craving seclusion, get a nice hotel room or even just go home. Trust me, getting laid is way harder when you're dead or running from a guy with a hook for a hand. Tip 2. Keep the radio off. Alright, here's the deal. If you're parked somewhere questionable and the radio starts crackling with a news report about an escaped lunatic with a hook for a hand, that's your cue to get the hell out of there. I'm not talking, let's think about this for a second. I mean, foot to the floor, tires squealing, we're gone faster than a Kardashian marriage kind of exit. Because the second that report comes on, you might as well be holding up a sign that says, "Hey Hookman, I'm an idiot. Come and get me." Think about it. Nothing good ever happens when the radio cuts in with breaking news during a horror setup. It's like the universe is throwing you a bone, and you're just sitting there like, nah, let's see where this goes. Spoiler alert. Where it's going is straight to Slasher Town. Population. You. And for the love of all that's holy, don't be that person who turns the volume up just to hear the details. This is the moment when you channel your inner Fast and Furious and haul ass out of there. You don't need details. You're not a detective piecing together clues for a crime novel. You're trying to stay alive. Trust me, the last thing you want to hear while you're parked in a dark spot is something like, "Be on the lookout for a man with a hook for a hand last seen near." And then realize that they're describing the exact creepy-ass place you're parked in. Pro tip. If the radio even flickers for a second, turn it off, grab the steering wheel, and get moving. You don't need that ominous voice narrating your impending doom. This isn't Stranger Things. No one's coming to rescue you from the upside down. Hookman's idea of a playlist isn't exactly top 40. It's more Screams and Scratching Noises Volume 1. In short, keep the damn radio off when you're out in the middle of nowhere. If it starts acting up, take it as a sign from the gods that you should get the hell out. The only soundtrack you want is the sound of your engine, taking you as far away as possible from any hook-wielding maniacs. Tip 3. Carry a spare door handle. Okay, hear me out. If you're dead set on tempting fate and still want to park in some creepy, secluded spot, then you need to come prepared. How? Easy. Carry a spare door handle with you everywhere you go. Yeah, it sounds ridiculous, but so does parking in a forest at night. And that's never stopped anyone. Think of it like being your own DIY auto mechanic, except instead of fixing a flat tire, you're trying to keep your ass off the Hookman's hit list. Here's the logic. If that deranged lunatic with a hook for a hand comes scratching at your car, he's probably going for the door handle. That's his MO, right? So, imagine the look on his ugly, hook-wielding face when he rips off the handle, and you just casually replace it with a spare, like it's no big deal. Boom. Game over. Hookman is shook. This might not seem like the most conventional survival strategy, but think about it. If Hookman's whole thing is leaving his hook behind on your car door, having a spare handle means you can just replace it and drive off with his hook as a souvenir. Sure, you'll have to explain why there's a rusty hook hanging in your garage when the cops show up. But hey, at least you're not the one on the missing persons report. Let's not pretend this isn't brilliant. You don't have to be MacGyver to change a door handle. It's not rocket science. Just keep one stashed in your trunk alongside the spare tire and that emergency flashlight you never use. If nothing else, it'll confuse the hell out of the Hookman, and confusing a psychopath is always a good move. In short, carry a spare door handle with you. When Hookman tries to ruin your night by ripping off the first one, you've got a backup. Consider it the weirdest insurance policy you've ever had. But hey, anything that buys you time to escape is worth it. Tip 4. Date someone with a truck. Look, if you're going to be out gallivanting in secluded areas where maniacs with hooks for hands like to hang out, you've got to be strategic about your ride. Forget the tiny little sedans or those flashy convertibles. You need a truck. And I'm not talking about some dinky city-living pickup either. I'm talking about a could survive the apocalypse and still have room for a jet ski kind of truck. Here's the deal. Hookman probably targets cars because they're small, flimsy, and scream, "I didn't plan for this shit." But a truck? That's a whole different story. It's big, it's intimidating, and there's no way in hell Hookman is going to scratch it up with his little hook hand without looking like a total idiot. Imagine him standing there, trying to figure out how to even get to the door handle when the damn thing's at eye level and surrounded by reinforced steel. You think a psycho with a hook can handle that? Doubt it. Plus, let's be honest, trucks are the ultimate survival vehicles. You've got storage space for all your gear, including your spare door handle from Tip 3, and you could literally just drive over anything that gets in your way. Hookman tries to block your path? Too bad. You're in a truck. You could mow down small trees and not even feel it. He's going to think twice before tangling with you. And here's another perk. You know those tense moments in horror movies where the car won't start? Yeah. Not with a truck. Trucks are built to survive things much worse than a guy with a hook for a hand. You'll be long gone before he even figures out how to climb up the side of your vehicular fortress. If this whole situation were an RPG, having a truck is like choosing the tank class. You might not be the fastest, but you're damn near invincible. In short, if you insist on making out in the middle of nowhere or just hanging out in Hookman's preferred hunting grounds, do yourself a favor and date someone with a truck. Not only will it make you look more badass, but it'll also ensure that Hookman finds some other unsuspecting couple to terrorize. Tip 5. Invest in keychain pepper spray. Alright, so you're out in the middle of nowhere, your romantic evening is on pause, and suddenly you hear something that sounds suspiciously like someone dragging a hook across metal. Don't panic, okay? Maybe panic a little. But before you turn into a full-blown horror cliché, remember this. You've got pepper spray. And not just any pepper spray. keychain pepper spray. It's small, it's badass, and it's probably the only thing standing between you and becoming Hookman's latest victim. Now, I know what you're thinking. Will pepper spray really stop a crazed murderer with a hook for a hand? Look, it's not a silver bullet, but it sure as hell beats throwing your phone at him and hoping he catches a TikTok addiction mid-attack. At the very least, it'll piss him off, and trust me, Hookman doesn't need his night getting any worse. Here's the strategy. Hookman approaches, looking all menacing and ready to scratch up your car, or, you. You whip out your trusty pepper spray and give him a good spritz to the face. Bam. Suddenly, instead of trying to hook you, he's too busy clawing at his eyes, wondering why tonight turned into the worst Tinder date ever. You might not have knocked him out, but you've definitely bought yourself some precious seconds to get the hell out of Dodge. And listen, even if the spray doesn't incapacitate him fully, it'll still make him rethink his life choices. Imagine how embarrassing it would be for him to go back to his creepy murder shack and tell his serial killer buddies, "Yeah, I had them cornered. But they hit me with some designer pepper spray, and I had to bail." The other psychos would never let him live it down. In short, keychain pepper spray might not be a guaranteed escape plan, but it's a hell of a lot better than nothing. Plus, it's small enough to carry everywhere, which is great when you're being stalked by a hook-wielding maniac. Spritz first. Ask questions never. Tip 6. Avoid listening for strange noises. Here's a pro tip. When you hear weird-ass noises coming from outside your car, don't investigate. This is the part where every horror movie character gets curious and ends up as the latest addition to the psycho killer's scrapbook. You're not in a thriller. This is real life. And real life doesn't reward curiosity when a guy with a hook for a hand is lurking around. Let me paint the picture. You're sitting in the car with your date, and suddenly there's a scraping sound, like someone dragging a hook across metal. Gee, wonder who that could be. What's your first instinct? To check it out? No. You're smarter than that. The only thing you should be checking is your door locks and your exits, because nothing good ever comes from sticking your head outside to see what's going on. Think about it. When has that ever worked out in horror history? You hear a noise, get out to investigate, and bam. Hookman's right there, ready to turn your life into a Dateline special. You're not a Scooby-Doo character, so don't play detective. You know exactly what that sound is. It's Hookman sharpening his death tool, or making sure your car is his next crime scene. Neither option is something you want to deal with. And if your date tries to be brave, says something like, "I'll go check it out," stop them right there. Channel your inner horror movie geek and remind them that the brave ones are always the first to go. Instead of looking for trouble, encourage them to embrace their cowardly side for once. After all, survival isn't about bravery. It's about staying alive. So, the next time you hear that eerie noise in the dark, do yourself a favor. Stay put. Lock the doors, and pretend like you didn't hear a damn thing. Turn the radio up, hum to yourself, talk about literally anything else. Ignorance isn't just bliss. It's the key to keeping your head attached to your body. In short, strange noises are not your problem. You're not the hero in this story. You're the smart one who makes it to the end credits. Stay in the car, avoid investigating, and let Hookman get bored and move on. Tip 7. Bring a hand hook of your own. Alright, this one's for the real strategists out there. If you want to truly throw Hookman off his game, show up with a hook hand of your own. Yeah, that's right. Go full pirate and rock a shiny, intimidating hook. It's unconventional. It's ridiculous. And that's exactly why it'll work. Imagine the confusion on Hookman's face when he shows up to terrorize you, only to find that you've already joined the Hook Club. Plot twist. Think about it. Hookman shows up expecting to scare the living daylights out of you with his signature move, and boom, he's met with you, casually sporting your own hook hand like it's no big deal. Now the tables have turned. Is he the hook-wielding psycho, or are you? Who's the hunter? Who's the prey? Welcome to his existential crisis. You've just turned a murder plot into a full-on identity crisis for this guy. Just be sure to look deep into his eyes and say, "Oh, how the turntables." If you got the reference without looking it up, congratulations. You get to be the assistant to the regional manager. You could even take it up a notch and challenge him to a hook-off. Make it a full-blown competition. Hookman doesn't seem like the type who's used to losing, and if you play your cards right, he might just get flustered enough to forget why he was there in the first place. Suddenly, you're no longer the victim. You're a worthy adversary in the hook world. Now, is this strategy insane? Absolutely. Is it risky? Oh, for sure. But if you're out of options, why not go for broke? At worst, you've confused the hell out of him. And at best, you've turned what could have been a horror story into the strangest buddy comedy of all time. Plus, if you survive, you'll have one hell of a tale to tell your friends. How did I survive Hookman? Simple. I outhooked him. In short, if you can't beat him, join him. Show up with your own hook and completely disarm Hookman's psychological advantage. Sure, it's unorthodox, but sometimes the best survival strategy is the one that leaves even the killer scratching his head. Tip 8. Don't pick up hitchhikers. Alright, let's get something straight. If you see a guy standing on the side of the road with a hook for a hand, do not pull over and offer him a ride. This isn't some heartwarming Disney movie where everyone's misunderstood and just needs a little kindness. No. This is real life. And in real life, hitchhikers with hooks are not your friends. They're the reason horror stories exist in the first place. I don't care if he's giving you the saddest puppy dog eyes this side of a Sarah McLachlan commercial. Don't fall for it. The second you let him into your car, you're not offering a ride. You're basically handing him a front row seat to his favorite hobby, terrorizing unsuspecting idiots who can't mind their own damn business. Plus, it's not like this dude is going to Venmo you for gas money. Instead of asking, "Do you need a lift?" you'll be asking, "Do you need a restraining order?" And let's be real for a second. What are you going to talk about on this car ride? The weather? Current events? How he ended up with a hook for a hand? Yeah, no thanks. The second he starts making awkward small talk, you'll be wishing you'd driven off into the sunset like a normal, self-preserving human being. Here's a fun fact. Most killers don't advertise their murder weapon, but this guy does. He's literally carrying it with him. It's like picking up a hitchhiker who's holding a sign that says, "Next stop, Stabby Town." You wouldn't do that, would you? No. So don't stop for the hook-wielding drifter either. The only thing worse than being stuck in traffic is being stuck in traffic with a psycho plotting how to turn you into his next urban legend. In short, leave hitchhikers with hooks on the side of the road where they belong. You're not an Uber driver for homicidal maniacs, and you're certainly not looking to become a cautionary tale told around campfires. Drive on by. Wave politely if you must. And keep your doors locked and your sanity intact. Tip 9. Use a no-hook zone sign. Alright, it's time to get creative. If you're one of those people who just can't resist hanging out in isolated areas, despite all common sense, then you might want to consider putting up some preventative measures. Enter the no-hook zone sign. That's right. Sometimes all you need is a good old-fashioned warning to let Hookman know he's barking up the wrong tree. Think about it. Every killer has a code, and Hookman's is obviously about the hook. So, slap a big, bold, "No hooks allowed" sign on your car, and you've just created a barrier more powerful than garlic to a vampire. Will it work? Who knows? But hey, it's worth a shot. And at the very least, it'll confuse the hell out of him. The guy's been creeping through woods and scratching car doors for years. He's probably never had to deal with modern signage. Maybe Hookman sees the sign, takes a step back and thinks, "Damn, I didn't know this was a no-hook zone. Guess I'll just head back to the murder shack." After all, if there's one thing serial killers respect, it's boundaries, right? Okay, maybe not, but it's worth trying. Plus, it's probably the first time in his long hook-wielding career that anyone's ever just straight up told him no. Let's face it, sometimes the best way to outsmart a killer is to do something so ridiculous that they don't even know how to react. It's like when you try to get into an exclusive club, but there's a dress code and you're wearing flip-flops. Hookman might just take one look at that sign and decide tonight's not the night to fight someone with an obvious disregard for normalcy. You, my friend, are not worth the effort. In short, a no hooks allowed sign might be the dumbest idea you've ever heard, but it could be just the thing to make Hookman second-guess his life choices. If nothing else, it'll make for a great story later, assuming you live to tell it. Tip 10. Always leave your car in gear. Here's a tip that's as practical as it is life-saving. When you're parked in the middle of nowhere and Hookman is lurking somewhere in the shadows, never put your car in park. I don't care how comfortable you're getting or how deep your conversation is. Keep that thing in gear, ready to take off like you're in the starting lineup of a NASCAR race. Why? Because when Hookman decides to make his grand entrance, you don't want to waste precious seconds fiddling with gear shifts and keys while he's out there trying to turn your evening into a full-on murder scene. You want to be ready to hit the gas and get the hell out of there like Vin Diesel after his 15th one last ride. Picture this. You're sitting in your car, enjoying the peaceful silence, you poor, naive fool. And suddenly you hear that telltale scratch against your door. Do you calmly put the car in drive, check your mirrors, and leave? Hell no. You want to be ready to peel out of there like you've just stolen something. And keeping your car in gear ensures that Hookman barely gets a chance to scrape a hello before you're halfway down the highway. And for the love of everything holy, don't be the person who fumbles with keys and locks when things go sideways. Be ready. Have your car running, your foot on the pedal, and the moment you see even the shadow of a hook, you're off. Trust me. Hookman can't do much if you're already 80 miles away by the time he realizes his latest victims actually knew what they were doing. Plus, there's nothing more satisfying than outrunning a supernatural killer by simply not being an idiot. In short, never park your car in neutral or off when you're in a sketchy spot. Keep it running and in gear, because when Hookman shows up, your survival depends on how fast you can hit the gas and get the hell out of there. You're not here to play hero. You're here to live, and that means being ready to bolt at the first sign of trouble. And there you have it, folks. 10 solid tips that'll help you survive your next run-in with Hookman. Whether it's keeping your car in gear, bringing your own hook to confuse the guy, or just not being a total idiot in the woods at night, you're now armed with all the knowledge you need to make sure Hookman ends up sulking back to his creepy shack alone. Remember, survival isn't just about bravery. It's about being just clever and ridiculous enough to confuse even a supernatural killer. Who knew no hook zone signs could be so effective, right? If you had as much fun as we did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Cryptid Whisperer, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another chance to laugh your way through surviving the weird, wild world of cryptids and urban legends. After all, you don't want to be the person caught off guard when the next psycho, werewolf, or cursed mirror decides to show up in your life, do you? Thanks for watching, stay smart, stay safe, and remember, when it comes to avoiding a hook-wielding maniac, sometimes the best survival tool is just not parking in creepy places. See you in the next video. Assuming you don't get hooked first.